Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. I am Priya Venkatraman from Pon Vidyashram School. In our previous module, we have discussed about the physical properties of metals and non-metals. Okay, name some metals: gold, silver, platinum, sodium, magnesium. These are some examples of metals. Name some non-metals: carbon, sulfur, phosphorus, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen. These are some examples of non-metals, and we have discussed about their physical properties. Metals are ductile. They have the property ductility, malleability, sonority. Okay, and non-metals, they are not able to produce sound. They are not ductile in nature. They are not malleable. Okay, and they are brittle in nature. Brittle, when you hit with a hard substances, it will form the powders. Is known as brittle in nature. Non-metals are brittle in nature. So we have discussed many physical properties of metals and non-metals. In this session, we are going to discuss about the occurrence of metals and non-metals. How do they exist in nature? How do the metals and how do the non-metals exist in nature? This is what we are going to discuss in this session. Clear? Let me get into the topic. The main source of metals is the Earth's crust. Aluminium, iron is the most abundant metal in the Earth's crust. Oceans are storehouses of certain soluble salts of metals such as sodium chloride and magnesium chloride. Sodium chloride is nothing but table salt which we use to cook our food. This is obtained from the ocean or sea water. Sodium is a metal, chlorine is a non-metal. Okay, when they combine together to form sodium chloride salt, table salt. Okay, this sodium chloride is obtained from the sea water. Listen, unreactive metals such as gold, silver and platinum. Symbol of gold is Au, Rm, Latin name. Silver, Ag, argentum, and platinum, Pt, which are not affected by air and water, occur in the free or uncombined state in nature. So, gold, silver and platinum, these are unreactive metal, which means they do not readily expose to air or water. So, these unreactive metals mostly they are in the free state or uncombined state in nature. Okay, these metals are called noble metals. What are noble metals? Metals like gold, silver, platinum, they resist chemical action, does not corrode and is not easily attacked by acids. They do not readily react with acid or air or water. They are known as noble metals. They are available in the earth crust in the free state. Clear? Then what about the case of reactive metals? Sodium is such a reactive metal, right? Reactive metals such as sodium, calcium, zinc, aluminium and iron occur in the combined state in the form of compounds. They do not occur on their own. They are available in the combined form. Most of the metals occur in nature in the combined state as minerals. What are minerals? Minerals are solid substances that are present in nature and can be made of one element or more elements combined together. Minerals contain more elements. Okay? Gold, silver and even carbon are elements that form minerals on their own. They are called native elements. Gold, silver and carbon are elements that form minerals on their own. So these are called native elements. Native elements, minerals that occur in nature in the uncombined form. Instead, ordinary kitchen salt is a chemical compound that is called rock salt, which is a mineral formed of sodium and chlorine ions. Now you got some idea about what is the combined form. Clear? Minerals are the compounds of metals occurring naturally in the Earth's crust along with a number of impurities. So the impurities to be removed, right? Moreover, a mineral obtained from the Earth's crust is never pure. It is always mixed with a number of earthy, rocky and sandy impurities. These impurities are called gangue. Gangue are called impurities are known as gangue. Okay, minerals deposit from which metals can be obtained economically and conveniently are called ores. Listen, for a single element we have many minerals are available. Okay, among the minerals, which one is beneficially obtained? Okay, we are obtained the element from which one? Okay, beneficially, that is known as ore. For example, iron is found in the Earth's crust as oxides, carbonates and sulfides. From this you can conclude iron is liberated or extracted from either from the oxide or from the carbonate or from the sulfide, which is iron oxide Fe2O3 and iron carbonate FeCO3 and iron sulfide FeS2. These are available in Earth's crust. But among the three, out of these minerals, oxides of iron are used for the extraction of metal. Thus, oxides of iron are called the ores of iron. We have three types of iron. That is iron oxide, iron carbonates and iron sulfide are available in nature. Out of these minerals, oxides of iron are used for the extraction of metal. Thus, oxides of iron are called the ores of iron. We have three types of iron. That is iron oxide, iron carbonates and iron sulfide are available in nature. Out of these minerals, oxides of iron is extracted only from the oxides. So that is known as the ores of iron. Now you got it? Similarly, aluminium occurs in the Earth's crust in the form of two minerals. First one is bauxite. Al2O3.2H2O. Okay, this is bauxite, chemical formula of bauxite. Okay, from which aluminium can be extracted. And clay, Al2O3.2SiO2 silica.2H2O. Out of these two minerals, bauxite is a mineral and clay is also a mineral of aluminium. Out of these two minerals, aluminium can be extracted conveniently and economically from bauxite but not from clay. Therefore, bauxite is the ore of aluminium. Even though we have two or more compounds, from which one the metal is extracted, that is considered as the ore. Now you got it? These ores contain greater amount of metal as compared to the impurities. Impurities will be very less, but the metal quality will be more. Greater amount of metal will be there. Clear? The ore obtained after mining is in the form of big lumps. The lumps are crushed into small pieces. The crushed ore is reduced to a fine powder by grinding. First ore will be obtained. Then the ore obtained after mining is in the form of big lumps. So lumps are crushed into small pieces. The crushed ore is reduced to a fine powder by grinding. The fine powdered ore is decomposed to give the pure metal. This is known as extraction. After getting converted into powder, Okay, this will be decomposed to give the pure metal. The signs of extracting metals from their ores, naturally occurring compounds. Ores are nothing but naturally occurring compounds, and refining them for practical uses is known as metallurgy. Clear? This is the case of metals. Then what about the case of non-metals? That we will discuss a little later. You have learnt an atom is electrically neutral. Neutral means it does not possess any, it contains, but both the charges will be equalized, is known as neutral. An atom is electrically neutral. Why? Because the number of protons and the number of electrons present in an atom is equal. That is why an atom is electrically neutral. Number of protons means number of positive charges and number of negative charges will be equal in each and every atom. Okay, consider this is an atom X. For example, if it contains 5 protons and 5 electrons, which is mentioned with plus and minus symbol in this diagram. Clear? Let me repeat. Consider this is an atom X. If it contains 5 protons and 5 electrons, protons positive charge and electrons have negative charge. So 5 plus and 5 minus, which is mentioned with the symbols plus and minus. So look at this picture. There are 5 plus symbol is there and there are 5 minus symbols are also there. Okay, let it be. Now I'll ask one question. What will happen if one negative charge is removed from this atom X? Let me repeat my question. What will happen if one negative charge is removed from this atom? 5 positive charges are also there, 5 negative charges are also there. If I remove only one electron or if I remove only one negative charge, what will happen? Proton will remain the same. There is no change in the case of proton. But I am removing only one negative charge, that is one electron. So from 5 electrons I have removed one electron. So what will the net result? What will be the net result? 4 electrons will be there. But there is no change in the count of proton. So 5 proton and 4 electrons. Okay. Here among the 5 and 4, which charge is dominated or which charge will win over? Because 5 plus in max also, just you apply the concept in max. Okay. What is the answer for plus 5 minus 4? The answer is equal to 1, right? In the same way, among the proton and electron, now the electron count is reduced. So what will be the net result? Plus charge. Okay, plus symbol or plus charge will win over or will be dominated here. Okay, but there is no change in the proton. So, but I remove only one electron. So now the atom will be positive ion. Now the atom will become a positive ion by losing one electron. I have removed one minus charge, which means I have removed one electron from that particular atom. So electron count is reduced here. From 5 electrons it is reduced as 4 electron. But there is no change in the count or in the case of proton. So proton will remain plus 5. So what will be the net result? The atom will become positive ion by losing one electron because there is some reduction in the count of electron. So this is the concept, electropositive in nature. By losing, it is the tendency of metals. Okay, they will become positively charged particles or positive ions by losing one electron. Okay, this is known as electropositivity. All the metals will undergo this process, that is electropositivity. All the metals are electropositive in nature. How? by losing one electron. Okay, they tend to possess this property. Why do they undergo this property? All the metals. For example, sodium. Consider the case of sodium. You have learnt about the atomic number also. Atomic number is nothing but number of protons or number of electrons. This is known as atomic number. Even the number of protons and number of electrons in an atom will be same. That's what an atom, that is why an atom is electrically neutral. Okay. The atomic number of sodium is 11. You have learnt one more formula, 2n square. What is the use of this formula? With the help of this formula, we can find out the number of electrons present in each orbitals or each sub-energy shells. Okay, each energy shell. Energy shell is nothing but the orbits. Okay, so you have learnt, I think so, this formula. The value of n is equal to 1, 2, 3 and 4 for K shell, L shell, M shell and N shell. Okay, so first orbital, it can possess maximum 2 electron, and the second orbital 8 electrons, and the third and fourth one 18 and 32 electrons. How did you get this answer? You have already learnt, because you have to apply the value of n in this formula, that is 2n square. When the value of n is equal to 1, it shows k orbital. When the value of n is equal to 2, it shows L orbital. When the value of n is equal to 3, it shows M orbital. And if the value of n is equal to 4, it shows N orbital. Okay, when you apply the values in the formula, you will get the answer 2, 8, 18 and 32, which means K orbital can maximum hold only 2 electrons. L orbitals maximum 8, and M orbital 18 and N orbital 32 electrons. These things you have already learnt in your lower classes. Okay, just I have given few clues to recollect the points. Clear? Then the next one, atomic number of sodium is 11. How the electrons are arranged in sodium? Listen, the atomic number. So first electron, first orbital, they can hold maximum 2 electron. So 2. Then the second orbital, maximum 8 electron. So 2 plus 8 is equal to 10. But the atomic number is 11. 10 minus 11, only 1 electron is remaining. This will be occupied in the third orbital. So the electronic configuration of sodium is 2, 8, 1. Okay, this electron in the last orbital. Okay, this will be last. Okay, this will be last. Then what will happen to the sodium atom? By losing one electron, it becomes Na plus ions. So all the atoms, they will try to lose one electron. Okay, and they will become electropositive in nature. Why they will try to lose one electron? To obey or to undergo the octet rule. This also you have learnt. Okay, octet rule is nothing but each and every atom will try to undergo or will try to obey this octet rule. Octet rule is nothing but atoms which contains 8 electrons in the outermost orbital or outermost energy shell. They are considered as stable and they will not take part in any of the chemical reaction. So all the atom will try to lose or will try to gain some electron to hold 8 electrons, okay, in the outermost orbital. This is known as octet rule. Okay. All the atoms will try to undergo the octet rule by losing or by gaining electrons. Okay, which one will be favorable? In the case of sodium, look at this. The electronic configuration is 281. Okay, to consider the last valence electron. Okay, only one electron is present in the outermost orbital. Okay, look at the previous orbital. It contains 8 electrons. So by losing one electron it can undergo the octet rule, or by gaining 7 electron. While gaining 7 electron, what will happen to the third orbital? It contains 8 electrons. Okay, by gaining or by losing, two chances are there. Which one is favorable? Losing 1 electron is very easier than gaining 7 electron. So all the metals will try to lose electrons and they will become electropositive in nature, is known as electropositivity, or all the metals are electropositive in nature. I think you have understood this concept. But in the case of non-metals, they are electronegative in nature, which means they will try to gain electrons. Okay, after gaining electrons it will become negative ions, so they are electronegative in nature. Thank you.